tears that collect and force their passage down the cavern from rock to rock into this valley's depth, where as a source they form the Acheron Styx and Phalangium. There's the word Phalangium for the first time, right? Then their way down is by this narrow course until, where all descending has been done, they form Cocytus. And about that pool, I shall say nothing. We've seen this in Inferno already. In other words, I'm going to tell you about that one later, for you will see it soon. And I, to him. Now, Dante the poet, or Dante the pilgrim will ask, but if this stream does fall thus from our world, then why does it appear at only this border? And he, as you know well, the place is round. Although you have come far toward the pit by left turns, remember, right only gets used twice in Inferno, always down. You haven't completed all the circle. Therefore, if anything new appears that we haven't seen, it should not bring amazement to your face. Now, we realize that maybe Dante's making a little bit of a mistake here, because, of course, we already have passed these other rivers, right? And now Dante will ask the pilgrim, where are Lethe and the Phalangium? Right? Now, this Phalangion is the river of blood. We've already crossed it, right? For you are silent regarding one of these, and say the rain of tears creates the other. And now again, Virgil, all your questions please me. In other words, I like the fact that you keep asking questions. Like Glaucon in Plato's Republic, brave in all things, here we have now good questions. But in one case, the boiling of this red river should give the answer. In other words, this is the origination of the Phalangium, which is above us. Lethe, you will see. But out of this abyss, it will be in the last canto of Purgatory, by the way, which is, again, one more reason why you got to read all of Divine Comedy to appreciate Inferno. There, where repented guilt removed, Purgatorio, souls gather to cleanse themselves. Then, now it's time for us to leave the wood. The margins are not afire, and make a pathway over them. Come close behind me. Every flame is extinguished here. In other words, off they go on their next track, and we'll head over into Canto 15 in a bit. Okay, let's work now levels 2 and 3 quickly. At 2A, it's a great line at line 41, and it's a major message. What I was alive, I am in death. Notice it's a defiant comment, right, here by Campanius, but it is in fact absolutely true for Dante's construction of Inferno. Of course, notice this one is a major message. Pride in Dante, always punished. We think about Prometheus and the Promethean pride, right? Of course, this old man, think about that. The idea is here, civilizations fall because they stand on clay feet, right? That is to say, corruption. We can think about Edward Gibbon's The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, that classic from 1776, where the same argument was in fact made. Gibbon, of course, very influenced by his study of Dante's Inferno. To be the struggle, or the symbolism that we're working with, well, obviously the old man of Crete, he represents or symbolizes this notion of declension of state. There is a time when everything is great. Go back to our comments in Plato in Republic and books 8, 9, and watch those lectures on learnstrong.net to be reminded of that one. The irony here, notice this one. Even in hell, defeated and supine, Campanus still is defiant, right? This is suggesting maybe what? God loses? Notice Campanus, you will never get the pleasure you see, which seems to suggest that God exacts or wants vengeance, but if you are defiant, the way, for example, we think of Prometheus was defiant, then has God actually won? It's kind of interesting, and it's an ironic question. Dante as poet, well, we got more mythological stories here, taken as real or suggested as real, or we're supposed to at least buy them as quasi-real, which again maybe undermines his Christian stories, right? In other words, if we're supposed to take these Greek stories, these Roman stories as authentic, then to what degree can we not say that the Christian stories are just as big, stories about some anthropomorphic deity, etc., etc. The politician of Dante here, obviously this is a warning not just to Florence, but to all of it. Notice Rome is the one mentioned, right? And, of course, by extension, everybody else. Dante the philosopher, well, this is an interesting question, and I think Dante is struggling with it all the way through the Divine Comedy. What about pride? Is it evil always, or is it sometimes necessary? We immediately think about the ways this will get picked up in the Prometheus story, but put it in your notes at 3A when we come to our study of Milton's Paradise Lost, and especially Satan. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. And we'll have some sense of what that one means. Finally, at 3A, We said we were going to mention this, so let's do it now. The Iliad, the Odyssey, and the Aeneid. Think about this. It has as one of its foundational tensions, we said this in all three of our studies of all three of these, that notion of should you reverence the gods or fight or strive against the gods, right? And lack of respect to the gods is usually understood as punishment. But sometimes it's hard to give the level of reverence to the gods. I mean, think about what we said about when Juno and Venus get together in the Aeneid to jack poor Dido. You know, they're going, high five, let's jack up poor Dido with this whole thing with Cupid in love. And we have to ask, well, I mean, how do you reverence goddesses and gods that just seem to kind of do one of these numbers with human existence and life? Notice the same question could be asked about a God who loves to exact vengeance in an afterlife. I think Dante was acutely aware of this tension. I just think that he understood that in the end, that's a tension that will be resolved in the mind of a Christian reader. At 3a, obviously, we've got Plato, we've already mentioned. Machiavelli's Prince comes to mind, as well as Milton's Paradise Lost, as all texts that treat that notion of what the value of pride is and the dangers of pride. As we'll say in our study of Milton's Paradise Lost, Milton says in the opening lines of Book 1 of Paradise Lost that he will do something yet unattempted in prose or rhyme. In other words, I'm going to do what nobody else has done before. Excuse me? Nobody has done before? Including Homer and Virgil and Dante? And Milton will say, no, I'm going to move beyond anything that those guys have done. Wow. It could be understood as a form of pride. What is your favorite rebel in a text? Okay? Think about the fact that the novel Frankenstein that's not actually its title when Mary Shelley gives that novel that title. It's actually called Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. We'll have to ask maybe about that one later. Finally, in 3b, well, what was a time that you were defiant? You were Promethean-like. You were Campanius-like. In other words, you said, I don't care what you think. I will not bend. I will not move because I'm right and you're wrong. What was the time that happened for you? How did that work out for you one way or the other? How about this for a question? Why do you think civilizations crack and crumble? Right? Why is that? Standing on a clay foot means what for you? And, of course, you can make an assessment of your own culture that you live in now. To what degree do you think of your culture, your civilization, as cracking or strong? And is there such a thing as a golden age? And if so, are we there or have we passed it? Well, on to Canto 15 now. And look, we're going to have to deal with this. This is going to be an interesting question for us. The degree, we'll ask this question now, and I want you to start thinking about it. All of the sins that we have met up to this point, how many of them are still considered sins in our day? For example, if somebody overeats, today we don't call it a sin, we just get them help. If somebody's depressed and sullen, we don't call it a sin today, we get them help and some kind of therapeutic help or whatever, right? We try and get them out of the situation. What about what's coming? That is to say, what I do with my body sexually is somehow constituted as a sin or not a sin. Now we're going to have to obviously tread lightly here as we do with political debates and all of the kinds of theological debates, but we're going to have to address this question because I think Dante raises it, and we'll deal with it as well as we move now into Canto 15 and the Sodomites. Thank you.